Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. My name's Jack. Today is a custom build. This is something that I built actually kind of a while ago and I've been like slowly tweaking it for a long time. This is the Rick and Morty. This is Rick's ship. This is Rick's spaceship. He doesn't have a name for it. It's kind of it's a junker. It's like all powerful in some episodes where it can morph and have all these different sort of it can do all these different things with the, keep summer safe episode and everything like that. But it's kind of a junker. It's made of trash cans and it's got duct taped lights onto the front and stuff like that. And it's just an awesome ship. It's just kind of a classic looking UFO ship. And I've got it broken down into sort of manageable chunks right now. I am going to take these pieces apart and show you how each one is sort of individually put together. But I'm doing this so you can kind of see the different chunks sort of in the beginning. I'm going to explain which each part is, and then this is also going to help me sort of remember how I actually put the whole thing together kind of a while ago, because I haven't made a digital designer for this yet. There's some sort of, not like illegal building techniques, but the some of these panels that will stick onto the side that make the shape of the ship, they're going to kind of squeeze together a little bit too tightly for Lego Digital Designer to sort of allow in the program. So anyways, when I do make an LDD file for this, Lego Digital Designer, this video will be kind of a good sort of way to accompany all the weird sort of building possibilities. So anyways, I'm going to explain what the heck we're looking at right now. This is, okay, well, you can probably recognize this. These are the side panels. They've got the gray and the yellow. There's 7 different sort of light up yellow lines that go along the ship. We've got some joint pieces in there on the underside, and so they're nice little slope pieces. This one, let's see, there's about five that have the yellow that are sticking out on the right side, and then 2 that have the yellow sticking out on the left side. You can tell pretty much what these are. These are the 2 front panels. They'll end up being the panels that have the front headlights, which are just duct taped flashlights in the show. I actually messed around a lot with how I wanted the flashlights to look. Some of this isn't going to be like 100% try to get as on the spot accurate as possible, but more of like kind of just my interpretation, because the side thrusters are made of trash cans. Lego does make trash can pieces, but at the scale I was building the ship, the trash can piece didn't really work, so I actually wrapped around some treads. This is by far the most complicated and pain in the butt to build the trash cans, because there's some flexi tube on the inside, some clips, and inverted trash can lids. The front, I kind of changed up a little bit. There's a little bit more detail here. They're just flat sort of bottoms of trash cans, but I kind of messed around with the design a bit. And let's see. This is the back panel. This is obviously what's going to attach the front sort of dome, the cockpit, the windshield. In Rick and Morty, there's actually doors that open up on the sides of the dome and stuff. That's not possible in Lego, but this is pretty much, I think, as close as you can get in terms of that. There's pillows that are up on the back dash, or the back part of the ship, when you can see in the episodes. Didn't have enough space to fit that in, but there is a little bit of that yellow and black stripe detail if you look a little bit closely. Boom, what else do we have? 4 wheels. I didn't do the bottom dome of the ship. I didn't really have enough space to fit it in. I know other designs out of Lego for this ship. A lot of people have done this ship out of Lego already. My personal design doesn't have the bottom dome. This is pretty self-explanatory. This is sort of one of the main base pieces that's going to make up the outer shape of the entire ship. It's made of a bunch of these jointed, 1x2 or sort of 1x4 jointed pieces. They're stacked on top of each other, and then you can see also, if I can get it to focus properly, there's a few jumpers on the bottom here, and that's going to add some reinforcement later down the line, and I will explain and show that off. So first, I'm showing you the pieces right now. I'm going to take these parts apart and then kind of show you how each one goes together, and this is another part of the base piece that's going to attach to here. Now, I took it apart this morning. I haven't built this or messed around with the main body of the build for quite a long time, so hopefully I don't forget how I put this thing together in the first place. That would sort of suck, but that's the basic idea. there's one piece there, and then this is the other side. This is Rick's side. He's got a bottle. I like this little print. This is a custom little print that actually came with the custom Rick and Morty fig that I ordered. It's this little bottle with the triple X's. Why is that not spinning around? There we go. Triple X's. So, of course, he's got a bottle next to him while he drinks. No flask, though. And then these are the Rick and Morty figs. So, I can show you guys them maybe a little bit closer at the end. They're a little bit overexposed because I got them kind of close to the camera right now. And I made my own version of Rick's portal gun, too. I'll show you guys that, too, towards the end. But those are the figs. And then, of course, you can probably see all these bottom panels. It's just more of the side panels. These ones go onto the back. These ones have the spaces for where the engine thrusters attach. And then this one, they're basically supposed to be the same one, but he's got some stickers, some bumper stickers on the side of his car. This one's a little loose because there's sort of a tension piece. That'll fit in on its own later. But anyways, that's all the pieces for it. So what I'm going to do is zoom in and then just kind of go piece by piece. I'm going to start with sort of the base pieces, take it apart a bit, put it back together, and then, you know, take this part a bit, put it back together, and then attach them. And then you'll see how the whole thing is going to kind of work itself out, so to speak. So, anyways, let me move these parts out of the way, and let's get the build underway. All right, that was a really long sort of intro on how everything is going to work for this episode. So hello, everybody. Welcome to BrickVault. Hello, everybody. Hello, regulars. Hello, new people. Hello, everybody. I am now finally actually going to start. So, hope you guys are doing... Oh, yeah, and there is Pickle Rick, too, if you guys want to see Pickle Rick. This is a design that I only figured out the main bit of the design the other day. This part is coming in dark green, obviously, and that's actually pretty fun. I'm really happy with the way this guy's turning out, but I might show that off at the end. This is about Rick's spaceship, though. Boom. All right, so let me turn that up. This is the main bit of the base. So, kind of comes apart in some a smaller fashion. Under here, it's pretty basic. I did have an open stud thing. There was an idea of leaving a space where it could have a Technic pin and then a bottom dome piece attaching from the other part. Jack takes it apart, we'll put it back together, and we'll have spare pieces. Oh no, Willem, don't say that. That's the put it back together and be like, what? Where did all these parts come from? So anyways, there's some 1x4s here, and then this is actually, I think, a 4x8 piece, this gray piece that goes in the middle. So I'm going to avoid taking apart. So this middle section is a 4x8 plate. And then those are three different, yeah, that must make sense. A couple of 1x2s, and then jumpers. So I feel like I can get away with not having to take this whole bit apart. If I show it to you for long enough, you can see. And also, if you really wanted to, you could do two different 2x4 or 4x4 squares. I think it's easier probably to find a 4x8 though. And then each section that's going to add on to both sides, I'll just take apart one of them. If you want to see, I'll take it apart down onto the camera here so you can actually see what the heck this is. There's two of these that are attached onto either side of the main plate area, and you can see it's a pretty basic put together right there. So that's basically it. There's it's a 2x3 dark gray and then a 2x4 that attaches onto this wedge piece with another little 1x2. Boom, easy peasy. Lemon squeezy, nothing to it. I'm like super nervous taking this thing apart again because I haven't done it in like a really long time. I figured this design, the final form of this design, like a long time ago. So, and I didn't make an LDD file that like puts this whole thing together. So, anyways, this is going to attach through here. I always like to remember there's one little gray space in between there. Nice and easy. And this is kind of a sloppy build. I know part of me is a little bit self-conscious because the more I do this LEGO channel, the more in contact I become with like people that are legit, like really, really good builders. And so I build this and then I feel like self-conscious because maybe I didn't do it as efficiently as when other builders look at it. They're like, oh, you could have done the same thing with like less pieces and it would have been, you know, stronger or something like that. This is a pretty basic put together. I can knock it open. Let's see how many there are actually. I think I remember counting it. I think there's like, let's just see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, okay, so there's 8 on the top, 8 on the bottom, so that would be 16 of these jointed pieces. And then on the bottom of the 16 jointed pieces, there's 3 wedge pieces on one side, 3 wedge pieces on the other. These are the basic 2x2 wedge pieces with a fin on both sides. And then there's a space on either side there. That's pretty much the way it goes. And then at the ends, by the space, there's a jumper piece. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. So that's the jumper piece that sticks in at a certain angle. And this is a little bit of part of what I'm talking about in terms of sloppiness. It does add a little bit of structural stability in the long term, and I'll show you how that works pretty much right now. But it doesn't like look as good as it could. I'm gonna zoom this out ever so slightly because I want you to see how this main bit attaches to itself. All right. Jack, do you build Mega Blocks? No, I do not. Boom. Will you share it at BrickLink's mock page? I feel like, well, we actually have a website now, like BrickVault has a website. So I feel like I want to put it onto our little BrickVault website, which basically has nothing on it right now. But in the future, it will have stuff on it. Okay, so did you see how I attached that, by the way? Let me just take that off one more time very quickly. I was looking at the comments and just putting it back together. So we've got our main piece here. There's the 2 blank sides that don't have the wedge pieces, and they attach to these little raised 1x2s on either side. So it's a pretty straightforward connection, just like that. And then this is not that much though. If the entire base where all the seats and the computers and the steering wheel, all that's going to attach here, and if it's only attached by a 1x2 here and a 1x2 here, the bottom has a high chance of it breaking out. So what I did is I couldn't find, it's hard to match up the studs, right, from one connection to another on this wraparound. So I figured out a way to do it. It's a little bit sloppy. I think it's kind of sloppy. I think there's probably a better way to do it. But if you have this angled jumper piece, you can get at least one stud from these curved wedge pieces to attach to the angled jumper piece. So if I show it, come on, you can focus. I know it can focus from here. There it goes. Okay, so you can see this jumper piece, and if you put it at the right angle, you can actually get the jumper to match up properly. And sorry, I'm like moving it. I want to see it too. And if I'm looking at it through the camera, it can start to jump around. But that's the idea. There we go. Yeah, that one went in, and then you have to do it all around each corner. So it takes a little bit. It takes a little bit of pushing. Every time the stud goes in, I look at it, and then let's see if I can do it. I'm looking at the screen, so trying to do it sort of opposite motion. There we go. So that one went in, and then the last one comes into this little corner here. All right. So now each of these studs is put in. So I've got a 1x2 attachment, 1x2 attachment on either side, and then one stud, one stud, one stud, one stud, and it kind of bends it a little bit. There's a little bit of bending. Let me see if I can show it from this angle. You can't see it. It bows downwards. Like this is actually bending down a little bit just to make that stud connection, but it actually creates a bit of tension, and it sort of forces this thing into a little bit more of a perfect circle. And it also kind of gets a lot of tension against itself. So it doesn't really want to pop out. It's actually quite strong now. So that's the main bit of the base. That is like the main bit of the base that's really gonna sort of carry this thing over into the next level. All right, and let's see. So now that we've got it in the front, we can start to attach the interior pieces. Now, which side does the steering wheel would go on this side. Okay, just making sure. So we've got some jumpers here, and the jumpers on the top are, of course, to make sure that this thing stays centered. And before I add on this whole piece, I can just kind of show you. There is not a lot of complex building here. There's a car door. That's kind of an added on extra. I haven't really given a final decision as to all of the little interior pieces. I like the way the seats are worked out. I know some people do the seats where they just have a single stud on the top with the clip instead of the 1x2. I personally prefer the 1x2 piece. There's just a single stud for the butt. You don't really need more than one stud in order for a minifig to sit there. And after that, you're just kind of messing around. Oh, Martin Ujvari. Hope I said that name. Wubba lubba dub dub. My glip glops. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the £2 donation. Appreciate it very much, sir. And that was done through the super chat function here on YouTube. Thank you, sir. Oh yeah, and this is just, I don't know, this is supposed to be a mega seed. I don't know if you could tell. Whatever, right? That's as close as you'll ever get to a mega seed piece. It's just sitting there on the side. This is actually on a little bit of a hinge. Just you can push it back ever so slightly, and that'll help you get Rick into the driver's seat, or Morty, I suppose. But I'm gonna mostly have Rick driving, at least in this little setup. There's a little dark red. I don't know why. I just decided to use a dark red piece. And the seat is actually attached via clips. The front part of the seat is not actually attached. Let me see if I can just break this apart. Yeah, so the front part of the seat is attached on its own. That's a 2x2 black piece, and then some tiles and stuff down there. And then there's the own individual. Come on, buddy. I know you can do it. Yeah, there we go. And then there's their own individual clip pieces that are attached. It's a pretty standard seat design. There's nothing special about it. You can see all the different parts that go into it. There isn't like a lot of secret or special or particularly good building that goes in there. Now, a couple of jumpers in the back. This is what's going to end up helping attach this piece. So remember to have a couple of those jumpers in the back. And yeah, so there's the 1/2. So the 1/2 is going to go onto this side, and it should be able to fit pretty easily. It's not super hard. It's not super strong. It's only attached to 4 different studs, so it's actually fairly weak. But it doesn't need to be strong. I've never had any issues with that before, with it where it's not really attached that strong. And there's actually a loose piece that goes in the center that kind of slides around sometimes, but also, once again, it's never really made a whole lot of issues. I do sometimes wish it was a little bit more solid, but it's fine. Oh yeah, okay. Let me show you on Morty's side, or the passenger seat side, depending on who's sitting there. This is just a little radio. I don't know. I didn't mess around too much with the interior details, and this corner piece is the remnants of what used to be a portal gun holder. I actually did make a little portal gun build earlier. It doesn't really, it looks cool with the tooth piece. I like that piece there, but it doesn't obviously fit into a minifig hand very well. I sometimes interchange it with a bone piece so somebody can actually hold the gun in their hand. A minifig can hold the gun. And this little corner wedge piece used to be 2, and you could fit the portal gun in its like own little holster behind the seat. But I sort of abandoned that idea. The interior stuff I'll mess around with a little bit more. I don't have like a solid design for the interior, but it wasn't really my main focus. There's a little bit of the scratched seat. There's a little bit of stuff kind of just ripped up on the seat. In one of the passenger seat has like a hole there, so there's some stuffing coming out, and it's the exact same design. I think there's some slightly different kinds of browns and stuff. I figured that these seats are in such poor condition, I didn't have all dark brown pieces, which is what I wanted to use, so I just kind of did a combination of light brown and dark brown, because that sort of fits, I think, for the overall design. So that's pretty much the same thing on the underside. I do have one little stabilizing 1x3 piece at the bottom. Nothing too crazy. I'm not going to bother taking these parts apart so much, just because it's like, if you can see how it goes together, I feel like that hopefully should be enough. So there we go. The 2 seats are in there. They're obviously adjustable. You can lean them back. They actually need to be leaned back just a little bit, because it will mess up with the dome if you have them kind of like perfectly at a 90-degree angle. And then there's this one piece, this opening in between, and there's no studs. So there's actually no way for that piece to like totally, oops, what the heck? Come on, jumper. It was there, and then it didn't. Okay, there we go. Kind of jumped out. Why does this want to jump out a little bit? There we go. That back stud was being a little bit difficult. You can lean this forward or lean them back if you want. But let's see if you can see this last one. So we've got, let me turn it around actually and lean the seats all the way back so you can see what's going on. So we've got the steering wheel, the bottle, the other dash, and then this part can actually slide, oops, the wrong way, can actually slide right in the middle. And it rests a little bit loose now, but when you attach the back wall for the cockpit into this jumper area here, then everything matches up properly. And before I forget, let me put that down. And let me just see something, because yeah, that's what I thought. When I took this apart, there's one more jumper piece that is supposed to attach to this back wall, and that jumper piece is supposed to go here. So it's supposed to be even on that side. So anyways, I did notice that I know the Batman set, and then also the, I think, Lego Ninjago City set, they made a 1x3 jumper with 2 holes on the top. That's actually the ideal piece for this situation. Doesn't exist in gray yet because it just appeared in black for the first time just in a couple sets, you know, from weeks ago or a month ago. So that in the future, when a dark gray 1x2 jumper gets put in here, that I want to implement so this thing will have a little bit more stability. This is one of the weak points, this connection point here in the back, but I'll get to that sort of towards the end, because I'm going to be adding all the side panels for this ship later. And I should say also, will you post this video? Perfect question. I was just about to get to that. The best at space. Thank you for the question. Yes, this is a video that will remain as a permanent video on the channel, just because it's sort of an instructional thing, and then when I do an actual review video of this build, sort of like an edited review video, I can link the LDD files, and I can link this video, so when you get the LDD file and you try putting this together yourself, if anybody does attempt that, there's sort of a little bit more of an instruction video on how you actually put that together. So anyways, this will be a permanent video on the channel, I believe. And now we've got the basic layout of the ship, of the cockpit, and it's time to bring in the paneling. There's a lot of paneling, and I'm gonna need to remember the order in which I put this together. I don't honestly remember all of it. I do know that, let's see, okay. Let's look at all the different ones. Make sure that we've got, here we go. Okay, so these are the 2 odd ones out. Sorry, I've got a couple that are a different size or a different orientation of yellow and gray, and I just need to remember which ones they were. So it's pretty easy though once you start figuring it out. I'll take apart each one actually before I put it on. So this is the most basic design of one of the side panels. It's got 2 little, you know, the 2x2 inverted smooth round pieces. I don't know the name of them. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter the color. Light gray, dark gray sort of blends in a little bit. This build is a bit see-through, so getting as many of these wedge pieces in dark gray or light gray as possible, or tan, is best. I do have a couple that might be in blue or something. Yeah, like this one's in blue. I just sort of ran out of pieces that would be a bit more gray. A lot of this build is gray, and a lot of Rick's ship is actually kind of just bland gray, not that interesting. But here, let me just take this whole thing apart and show you the actual build. So we've got these 2. Boom. All right. Nothing too crazy. All right. That's about as much as I feel like I need to take apart. We've got the wedge. This is the 2x2 wedge piece, not the 1x2 jointed piece. This is a 2x2. It's attached offset by another 2x2 dark gray. And we have just the single tile plate that rests there in the corner. And I'm using that as an indicator to remind me which side actually has the long gray pieces instead of the yellow. I don't want to accidentally disorient myself because I haven't memorized this. Once again, I haven't totally memorized this build. This is something that I honestly was designing a month ago, and then was just basically just tweaking tiny details for a long time. And let's see, it doesn't really matter which side I put the gray or dark gray on. It doesn't really matter, but there is one thing that I do want to make sure to point out to you guys if you do attempt to build this yourself. Now what you want to do is not what I just did right there, because I put the jumper on, And then I'm going to need to tilt this out. And you see when I need to tilt it out, it starts to pull the jumper out. So what you want to do is you want to push this in all the way, then add the jumper. That's probably one of the few techniques there. Just make sure you want to do that. Push the jumper in first, then push this back in at that angle. And that should be at a pretty close angle. I'm pretty sure this is a good way to do it. Yeah. That's one little thing you want to pay attention to. Oh, you like the Pass the Butterbot video? Yeah, I did link some of the other Rick and Morty videos that we did for Lego Mox in the description below. So the portal gun video is there, as well as the Pass the Butterbot. And soon will be an accompanying video of this, as well as the Pickle Rick. So, anyways, I think I can add up. Oh yeah, I'm gonna start adding up the light pictures, the pieces for the lights. This is a little bit bigger. There's a double jumper here, and I can't really fit a jumper onto the back of this. So it's a similar design though. Let me just take this main wedge piece off. This is a lot easier to see. Move that out of the way. The light piece. So this is the main wedge. You have it offset with one of the larger, it's like a 1x3 sloped piece. Comes up like an entire brick's height. And then the 1x2 sloped piece. And it's actually resting on top of just a, oh, I knocked that off. But it's the smaller piece is resting on a single 1x1. Doesn't really matter what color that is. That one's just in black for this purpose. So anyways, boom. So that side fits on here. Goes up and above. And oh yeah, make sure that your wedge piece is also spaced out. Same thing as that jumper piece. Let's say I didn't have the part on and this was totally straight, and then I decided to add the jumper pieces. Once I turn this, it's gonna kind of want to push the bricks away. So it just kind of has to snap out like that. That's a little bit better. Okay. Now, where did I put that wedge piece? I'm gonna put that down. This is the second half. I messed around a lot with this design. This design was super it was just weird. There were so many little ways to try to figure out how to get the light to fit on. And I haven't totally decided on whether I want to have this big sort of obtuse jutting out light. This piece looks a lot more close to the flashlight, but it sticks out a lot more in almost a distracting way. You can substitute that with something smaller, just a smaller flashlight piece. Or just, I think this is a tap piece, like a water tap normally, but this also is a pretty decent substitute. And I haven't fully decided whether or not I want to go with this one or with the smaller one. It doesn't stick out quite as much, but this one I think actually looks kind of good because the flashlight does look a lot more accurate this way. But anyways, this one is attached. Let me take the jumper pieces. The title card is from yesterday. I don't think so. I've updated that. If the title card's from yesterday, man, you might have not reloaded the page. I feel like that's a pretty common thing. Jack, what's your favorite Indiana Jones set? I don't know. Don't have one. All right. So this is pretty basic. This is just the 1x2. It fits onto one stud each. Come on, focus. There we go. Fits onto one stud each. That's it. And then it wouldn't be that strong normally, and they would definitely want to pop off. When I put these together and I start sort of wedging all the sides in towards each other where there's a bit of tension, you're going to see that these wedge pieces are going to want to like bow and like bend away from each other. There's going to be a lot of tension, and this build does have a tendency to have like, you know, a little bit of parts that if they're not balanced properly, some of the side plates are going to want to pop off. So that is that's just a reality of this particular style of build. So anyways, that is how the one single light piece works. And the opposite one is, it's the same, just opposite pieces. They're going to face in towards each other. So this one would go on the left-hand side of the build. And I don't know the exact angles, of course, when I put this together. I just kind of try to make it sort of a relatively harsh angle. And it's easier to make the angle a little bit harsh and then work your way back down towards it. And you can see this is where in LDD it's going to not like you very much because these are going to bump into each other. So that's the main thing that if you do ever attempt this build, that's the main part that sort of stinks. It's going to be a little bit difficult, and it's going to be a little bit it's going to kind of get in the way with your sort of building a little bit, and you're going to really just have to force a lot of these pieces down in a certain way. And the thing that's nice about it is when you're done with it and you don't have to tweak it, you can see that this lip edge is kind of like over, like crossing over. You can kind of just grab them by the corners, and that's a pretty good way to even the whole thing out. And once they're there, though, and all the pieces are in, and you've popped the last one in, and it's really, really tight, it'll stay super solid. But the actual getting them in and tweaking all these little pieces can be super annoying. And I am considering shortening down these slope pieces and maybe building up a little bit of a barrier and that not having that tension problem. But for now, I kind of like the almost like the difficulty of it. But anyways, that's how you get the one side on. And I think you can sort of guess how these next pieces are going to attach themselves. Now, I'm almost going to like look at my thumbnail. I forgot what the, hold on, let me bring up the, my file with it in there. Give me 1 second, guys. Oh, wow. Oh, never mind. Can't move that around. Oh. Jingle. Okay, there we go. I forgot which side has like the yellow orientation. Actually, you know what? I'll just start putting it together and see what looks proper, and then we'll see from there. I have a feeling that this yellow piece would go onto this side, though. Yeah, because I did make sure I do want the yellow to like match up, sort of evenly along one side. So, anyways, yeah, there's one yellow piece, and then this one. No, see, yeah, that one wouldn't be the right one. This would be the right yellow piece. See how the yellow is sort of touching the gray on both sides? They're not exactly matched up perfectly, but pretty darn close. The only yellow piece that ends up being offset, not totally centered, is, of course, the one that sticks straight forward from the front of the ship, which makes sense because you couldn't possibly get that piece centered. And this is, like I said in the beginning, this is like the frustrating part of it, is getting these side panels on. You're gonna see pieces drop off and pop back on over and over and over again. And that's just part of it. So I'm gonna be attaching the rest of them. Now, let's see. I think we've got, aha, okay, yeah. So this is gonna be the next section. This is the part that has the bumper stickers. So I'm going to show you there's one bumper sticker that's missing, and that's actually held in by tension. But I'll show you how that fits in once I've sort of attached a few more of the plates. And there's a slightly different design for this. It actually mimics that, but it's just a slightly different design. It's just got a jumper in there, but it's almost the same. Instead of an open spot that has the flashlight and the single 1x1 tile, it's just a jumper. That's the only difference. And then instead of at the bottom there, you can see there's a cheese wedge piece, and then a 1x2 slope, 1x2 slope cheese wedge piece. But it's the same. It's pretty much the exact same design as before. Just instead of a double of these 2x2 slopes, you now have cheese wedge 1x2, cheese wedge 1x2. Plus the little lime green thing. That's supposed to make up one of the stickers. These are supposed to be bumper stickers. I don't have those special prints like from Tom Young's design, but I decided to just make everything brick built. Boom! Friday the 13th. Jack, what is your favorite Lego Ninjago set? Well, from the movie? Green Ninja McDragon, for sure. So anyways, I'm attaching more of these, and then we've got an opposite piece. See how these little side ones, how one is dipping down a little bit on this side, it's mirroring the dip on that side. So you want everything to kind of mirror themselves properly. So it's all kind of self-explanatory, you know, but see, there's the tension. So that's a natural part of pushing this together. And you're going to have a lot of pieces that want to jump away from the build as you go, because this is not legal. I don't think being able to push them against over push them. I don't think that's what's considered a legal building technique. I haven't held them in by any sort of like weird point of tension. They're just the angle is a little too harsh. That's all it is. And as you go, it does they do kind of want to bump against each other, and there's some friction. So I'm looking now, hold on, let me put this down. How many of... Oh, okay, okay. I was like losing. I was like, where did these wedge pieces go? Now, once I get these wedge pieces in, these next yellow ones in, I can show you guys... okay, yeah, that would go on this side. I would show you guys how to get that sticker piece in, which is... It's not a sticker. It's a piece that's supposed to represent the bumper sticker. So I'm not... There's no stickers in this set, obviously. This is just my own personal design. I turned myself into a pickle! Because anyone would want to if they could. Yeah, that is... I'm actually really happy about my Pickle Rick design. I'd been working on... Oh! You see that? What did I pop out? Oh, no. Oh, wait. I found it. Oops-a-daisy. It's just a little bit. There we go. I'm actually pretty happy with the way my Pickle Rick design worked out. There we go. Nice little pop out. You can see I've been putting this off for such a long time. Jack, when you finish Pickle Rick, please do a review and maybe a tutorial. Yes, and that one will be a lot less frustrating. There's like one bit of tension thing, you know, like design thing in the head for his face, but not as crazy as this. This one is by far the much more annoying one to kind of pop together, as you can probably tell at this point. It is just, it's a bit crazy. There's a bit of extra stuff that's not too fun, and you just have to kind of muscle through a few kind of odd designs. And sometimes it's good to kind of push these down a little bit, and it eases the tension out. And then you can kind of, once you've pressed all these things sort of together, then you can kind of push the parts back into place. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. This is getting a bit tough. Here we go. Wow. Did I put this in the wrong spot or something? Like everything just wanted to jump out all at the same time right there. See, this is what I was afraid of. I was like, man, I'm gonna take this thing apart and it's just never gonna want to go back together again. But it's just time. You just have to know the pieces properly and then push everything. Oh, you know what? Maybe this thing should be at a harsher angle. And maybe that was... Oh. Nah. Nah, I don't think so. So let me take this part out again. You have to kind of work your way through, building in and slowly getting the tension. This thing is being... Yeah, this part is being like crazy tough right here. I can already see that like this thing does not want to fit together the same way it used to. What did I do? Guys, what did I do? I broke... Oh, no. I can see how the angle is quite different than how it originally was before. Dang it. This doesn't look like it's going to want to fit in again. But how did it work before? I swear it worked before. Okay. Let's get that in. I know I can do it. You just have to, like, really just have to get that tension just working there. Buddy. Come on, buddy. See if I get that in first. Can I get the middle one in? Yeah, maybe that'll work. Maybe. I don't know. Dang it, guys. You're watching me struggle. I'm telling you, this build was a real struggle for me. Oh no. I'm making sure that I put this in the proper section. There we go. I just felt this thing shift a little bit and open up. Okay, cool. We got it in there. We got that. Wow. See, I'm telling you, this was not the easiest of builds to mash together. Not by a long shot. There we go. Now let's get this. Ooh, yeah, this one's gonna want to have some fun too. I can feel it. There we go. There we go. That's in. And now this was the last thing that I was really trying to mess around with. Once I get this section on, I can show you the sticker. There we go. Okay, so I can play around with the little popping orientation in a second. Oh, whew. Okay, so we got half that on, and oh man, that is like so many little pieces that I really needed to mess around with. Now, where did I put that light piece? I've got the single sticker here. which is actually going to help me keep in the other piece that I'm looking for. There it is. So this is, that's like the bumper sticker. It's like half of an American flag and half like vote for this guy. What's the name of that bumper sticker? I'm sure you guys are probably looking it up. Man, I love this. Wubba lubba dub dub. Thank you, BrickVault. Now, I think the red goes on the bottom. It's sort of supposed to be at a corner. This is supposed to be a square sticker in real life, or in Rick and Morty real life. And then this blue sticker, which is I heart schleemies, or like I sort of like penis emojis schleemies. I swear that's what the sticker is if you look at it. And then I actually use the corner of that to just kind of keep this in place because that's not on a stud. And that's how I do the stickers. The print I think looks pretty good. There's I think there's like Tom Young Bricks has done a Lego build of this where he actually has the print on similar pieces that show the 3 stickers printed on there, which looks good and probably would work better than that. But this is all Lego built, and so that's how this is working. Now, in my messing about, I did knock out this light, but before I put that back on, I can just show you like what I was playing around with before, which I was using this piece before as like the smaller light piece. It's a little bit less intrusive, and I think, I don't know, I personally like the larger one more, but that was a design I was playing around with before. And I've actually got a bucket right next to me which kind of like has all my previously attempted light and previously attempted pieces used for both the portal gun and Pickle Rick and this build. I even have like a partially built whatchamacallit, Mr. Meeseeks box, but none of those pieces exist in the proper color for kind of like what I want to do. So I didn't go for it. Now, booyah, we are messing about with with this one, which is a similar, it's almost the exact same, actually it is, it's the exact same design as the light piece. Almost the exact, just about the exact same design as the light piece. And this is the connector piece that is gonna attach the thrusters. So let me show you guys. And I think I should take apart one of the thrusters to show you guys how it's built, but that one is that's a real zinger. So this is pretty much the same thing. It's a little bit different because I want to have that open stud piece that's attached to the original 2x2 piece with the joint. That is I'm gonna be able to fit a tube, a Technic flexi tube, in there, and it's going to give a little bit more stability, so I want to make sure that that stud is actually open at the bottom. But other than that, that's just a 1x1 black brick piece, and then we've got the attachment for that is just a 1x2 and then another couple of 1x2 slope dark gray pieces, dark bluish gray, and that fits onto there. And then the other half is just this. It's another one of those 2x2 wedge pieces. Same design that we have in the front as well, with the 2x2 slope pieces. There's another 1x2 tile, and that's it. Just with the inverted pieces, keep it nice and strong. So that's it. That's the only difference. They're all pretty much the same, but all just slightly different, basically. So let's see, which side is that going to orient itself on? I'm trying to think now. I feel like... Yeah, it's going to go on this side because this high piece is going to juxtapose against this lower piece. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so going to fit in this one side, and I'm not going to put the engines on until I've gotten all the slope pieces wrapped around. The engine pieces, there's no point because if some of these side wedges start popping off, I don't want to have the engines also attached and breaking off as well. So there it is. The back is a little bit easier, actually. These next 2 wedge pieces that I'm attaching are, actually that's on the wrong side. The next 2 wedge pieces I'm attaching are the last of the really high tension parts to fit on. And then these last 3 here are gonna be a little bit easier. Let me put this one on first. Let's see if I can get it to fit. And I'm doing a pretty good job. I haven't cursed yet out loud when breaking it, so I think I feel like I deserve a treat at the end of this for not just swearing over and over and over. Ah, breaking this off. That's maybe some of you guys might be familiar. Oh, here we go. There we go. Kind of have to twist the inside, make sure you get the proper angle. Oop. The tension is strong here, but once it's all there, it's so solid. I swear to you, that is the one benefit though of playing around with this. Oh yeah, that's a common thing for this part. You might break off the top a little bit, but once it's there, guys, I'm telling you, it's quite a strong build. Look at this, it's popping off on the other side. Once it's there, man. Once it's there, the power. Okay. Okay. And that's the way the news goes. Grass tastes bad. Oh yes, I know all those quotes. Sometimes these teeth pieces at the top, they start to not really match up that well. I usually ignore that till the very end, and then once I've got all the wedges in place, then I can start messing around. So now this back part, there is no yellow highlighting line. There is no yellow highlighting line for this because it's this is where the trunk space would go. I don't have an opening trunk. It's not the way this design works. Actually, I'm gonna fit that middle piece in last. I'm gonna get these two side wedges in. Now, these are a little shorter, and usually they fit in just a little bit easier because they don't have as much tension at the top of the build. The edge of this doesn't match with the edge of that at any point, which means it should, in theory, fit a little bit easier. But the way this thing's working, nothing really fits in that easily, unfortunately. So you just kind of have to mess around. Let's see. I feel like things are going too smoothly, honestly. Like I'm gonna get too close, and then the whole thing's just gonna explode into a million pieces. Now these jumper parts right here don't look like they want to attach too easily. I'm going to actually pop out this jumper piece. It might be easier to pop these jumpers in after the fact and first get the wedge pieces in on their own. So yeah, I think that was part of what was getting this wedge piece in. Oh, buddy. Come on, man, don't make me look bad on the stream. I can't go live on button any other way. Okay, here we go. This thing's got there. There's one. There's one. Now the tension's really starting to get strong for a lot of these pieces, I can tell. It's making it stronger. It makes it so like these parts in the front are like super solid. This thing feels like a rock once it's all in place. But there is this kind of oops, not that piece. There is this kind of you know, if there's one weak spot, it sometimes leads to a bunch of weak spots, and then they all kind of want to get loose and pop out all at the same time. So I feel like somebody who's a really, really like old school experienced builder watching this would be like, oh, you could have done the same thing just without that. Which might be true, but yeah, this is just sort of the way I figured I wanted to build it, and there we go. So yeah, this is actually a little bit looser, which is kind of nice. And then you can sort of twist these in at each other and create a little bit more tension, and that will eventually ease these pieces out. So some of these lips are kind of hanging over and it's not very smooth. You can kind of slowly but surely start to orient the ship and squeeze the pieces. So eventually the UFO will actually all kind of fit. There we go. So that corner piece evens out there. This corner piece wants to even out at the top here. Okay, without hopefully breaking too many parts out. So this is this squeezing and hopefully solidifying the final little pieces of each edge. So in the future, I'm thinking about redesigning, making this whole thing one stud shorter on the top. So any of these longer parts here would all be just a little shorter. And then I can build like a rim that the ship actually does have kind of a larger sort of flat cylindrical rim. So that might actually be like altogether a better design choice. But for now, I'm playing around with, okay, there we go. Oh. So yeah, usually the things that break off, once you've got everything in place, the little pieces that break off are just these tiny little corner pieces that go right above where the thrusters are, but I'm pretty much, yep, yeah, I'm pretty much in a happy place with the build now. So it's just the tiniest bit of tension right here in the front, which is bugging me. There we go. There, that reoriented itself a little bit better. There we go. Okay, yeah, I don't want to have the front offset too much. And then, wait, no, this one's off too. This corner piece. Come on, buddy. There it is. Slow and steady wins the race. There it is. Okay, nice. Okay, so I'm actually feeling pretty good about that. That feels pretty good. And in the process, you can see that this studless sticker piece that says Gazorpazorp or something for, you know, 1986, or I can't remember what the heck that bumper sticker says, but it's some kind of like patriotic sort of bumper sticker piece. Just stays in there with the tension. All right, so there it is. There's the main bit of the ship put together, and right, not bad. I'm gonna zoom these, not zoom it, I'm gonna push these seats back because I'm gonna fit those jumper pieces out that I took out earlier. I thought they might just get in the way of the back cockpit just a little bit. So, oh, hold on. I'll orient it this way so you can see what I'm doing. So we've got the 3 jumper pieces, but really we want to have 5 all in a row. Our ducks all in a row. I thought they might get in the way just a tad when I was putting them together there, but now they seem to be fitting. There we go. They seem to be fitting back in place. Put that last one in. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Yep, they do want to add just the tiniest bit of tension in the front there. I can feel it. Yep, so you want to add those jumpers in towards the end. There it is. So yeah, it actually pushed those out a little bit. Probably would have been hard to attach those back wedge pieces with those side jumpers still out. So there's so many little things about just balancing all the tension in here, because this is the build. Naturally, these Lego bricks, there's not enough space, so everything's pushing away from each other all at the same time. And if you don't put it in the right way, then it's all just going to kind of go boom, and pieces are just going to start popping out. But right now we've hit that sort of sweet spot, which I'm really liking. So this part's still loose. It'll remain loose until I attach the cockpit. And I'm wondering, should I do the cockpit first, or should I do? No, you know what? I'm going to do the engines, because the engines are difficult, and it's the last difficult thing, and then I can do the cockpit, which is easy. So let's tackle the last one. These are mirror images, so I'm not gonna take both of them apart at the same time because I don't want to. And I actually did a redesign on this pretty recently. This was the last thing I was messing around with. I had a totally different design for the engine last time, but I sort of like this one. And I kind of like, I'm gonna point out that I already do notice that the back is tighter than the front. And I can very easily make it looser, but I kind of like that. Makes it feel a little bit more cartoony. The back of this engine is a little bit tighter. This is just supposed to be a trash can, by the way. Handle for the trash can. I could probably cut my cord just a little bit, that flexi tube just a little bit more, and make it slightly, you know, so you don't have that little bit of black showing out there right in the edge. But for the most part, I actually kind of do like the way it looks. And people were telling me earlier they want me to cut it down and take one stud away from this. They want it to be shorter, and they want the engine to be a little closer to the UFO, or Rick's ship, or whatever the heck you want to call this thing. It does just look like a pretty basic UFO. But anyways, I haven't decided to do that yet. So that's obviously the flexi tube. The flexi tube goes all the way through, and I'm just gonna take this thing apart and show you guys, because this is like one of the more complicated aspects of the whole build. So let's see if I can't take this apart in a dignified manner. These bombs are ridiculous. Like, what? Hey, Mike, can you jump on the stream real quick? There's a bunch of bots. I think they're on, what? The Puresh. Okay. Wait. I don't know. No, never mind. Somebody was complaining about the bots, that there's like there's a bot posting inappropriate links on our thing, but I don't think. Oh, okay. Sorry if there's bots on this live stream, guys. Here, and if you did just join in, I am trying to deconstruct my, you know, I'll just do it this way. I'm gonna deconstruct my ship, my engine build. So, five tread pieces. I'm pretty happy about actually how that whole thing worked out. The trash can, this is supposed to be a trash can, but I didn't like the scale of the Lego trash can, so I built my own. And it's pretty basic, but let me take every little piece apart, see if I can't remember how it all goes back together. Have you seen the one by... Yes, I have seen Hachiruko 24. I think the scale is pretty great. It is good. There are some really good alternate versions of this. A lot of Lego builders have attempted this. I also like Officially a Nerd. He did... Oh, man, this thing doesn't want to come out. Okay, there we go. Okay. So that's about as much as I'm going to break this thing down. This is pretty basic. It's just the round 2x2 that's attached to a blue inverted piece. That's it. Nothing much. This is a 3x3 stud wide dish. It's got the hole in there, which is and then there's just a flat. It's got the single stud that's raised up. Yeah, and that's the basic. That's going to make up the trash can lid. 1x2 dark gray. Actually, it looks like an old dark gray with the dark bluish gray clips on the top there. This has a stud hole. This is going to allow the stud hole to attach through to the other end of the flexi tube. The flexi tube has 5 of the golden studs that are open and then 1 of the light gray. They don't do this in dark gray yet. That's why they're in light gray. Normally, I would just do dark gray. And then 3 dark gray studs and then another one of these light gray opening holes with the clip. So you can start putting it back together. I think I can just remember how I put this back together decently well. But this is, I think, one of the more complicated, complex bits of the whole build. So you can orient this together. I'm just making sure that I've got the engine on the proper side. I do want to make sure. I'm like looking at the ship. I'm like, I don't want to build 2 right engines or something like that. That would be a shame. So I've got the one engine that's already built on this side, which means if I've got this one, I'm going to want to have an engine that's built on this side. Okay, got it. Okay. Just making sure. Okay. And that should be good. Okay. So I feed it through with 1 stud open, one sort of plate piece of the tread open, and then on the top there should be 2 open ones because there's 5 altogether. So that's how it fits through on one side. And in order to keep that kind of solid, you just add the trash can handle. And because there's an open stud, that light gray stud has the opening. It does attach in there. And it's crazy loose, obviously, so it's not going to be able to hold any shape. And that's where the rest of the build comes in. So if that's coming in this way, there's two separate parts of this. And you're first going to want to add this piece first. So these are 3 solid dark gray studs with the light gray hole there that has the ability to put the clip through. This part's going to go in through the long way. So we've got this attached through this stud, which means it's going to come in through the opposite direction of where it's attached. It's going to be able to go pretty flush. And there you go. So it's clipped on, and now you've got a single stud. I've attached the dish with the other 1x2 piece here. Very simple. There we go. You've got the front of the trash can lid. Now, this thing holds its shape because the clip is attached on the other side of the flexi tube. So this is super weird. This is like a super weird sort of roundabout way of putting your piece together. And this part has a little bit of, I always have a little bit of something getting this. There's the 2 clips that are attached to the 1x2. And it kind of wants to jump in, run into some of the other plate pieces just a little bit here when I'm snapping it together. So there we go. There we go. So you have to kind of play around a little bit with the way that snaps, but not too bad. And then, kazam. Oop. There we go. So that's it. That's basically it right there. I just built the trash can. Boom. All right. It's a little bit overly complex. I agree. Like, that seems like too much work. Why don't you just add the trash can? It just, the trash can pieces don't scale that well. Not quite the same way as they normally would. They don't scale that well the same way against the shape of this ship. I would have had to make the whole ship a little smaller because the trash cans being way too small would have thrown off the whole look. And these splay out a bunch. So when I push them into the sides here, I kind of just really just bend them and just really try to orient them the right direction that I want them to be. And you kind of just have to hold it down a bit and just really push it in for a while. And they'll stay. They'll stay actually decently well once you do that. But you have to do it every now and then because it's kind of a harsh angle for not that much flexi tube. The flexi tube has been cut relatively short, and you really do want to just push that in almost too much sometimes. And then the flexi tube, this is just a basic push in. Oh, dang it. I pushed that a little too hard and now my flexi tube clip came out. No. Can I get it to just snap back in? Yeah, okay. Nice. Okay. So we've got our engines. Let me zoom this out just a tad. So we're getting there, and you can see that this dang sticker broke out for the third time. I'm not entirely sure. See, that's why I kind of like the printed version of this sticker from that Tom Young Bricks. Yeah, there's just a bit of tension there. It almost wants to shoot out, which is not a good way to have the sticker piece. Okay, there's just enough tension. Come on, stay. Okay, hopefully that won't pop out too bad. See, that is like almost like a stud shooter. Let's try it again. Yeah, I can feel it. There's just a bit. It's almost like there's a little bit extra tension this time around. It's almost just right. It's just the tiniest bit. Come on, buddy. Stay with me. My man. Jack, what's your first Lego set? First one that I ever got, I think that was like for me, as opposed to the ones I was just playing with, like my brother's sets and stuff, was a very small Ice Planet set. Very small, I can't remember. It's like basically the equivalency of like a starter pack that they have nowadays, but it was just like a little, it was like a little ATV ice rover thing. Oh, and I broke this out again. I didn't even notice that. It's the Mega Seed and just a handlebar. The interior piece for this ship, the interior design is pretty much minimal. I haven't played around too much with how I want to have this thing built on the inside. And mostly, oh, dang it. Dang it, bros. I just broke out the inside. All right, there we go. Normally that's stronger on the inside, but the reason why that broke out is because I haven't added the tires, and the tires would attach, and they would actually keep the interior just the tiniest bit stronger. But this time they did not go in properly. Oops! No, I need to actually build in this whole section right now. Oops, a daisy. So let's get that together this way. All right, I broke this whole thing out. Let me add this piece in now so we don't have any trouble. All right. So let's see if I can't get this whole thing to balance proper. Oh wait, dang it! And then this middle piece I'm supposed to add in afterwards. There's such an order to this set. It's really kind of a bit overly meticulous, but I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, this is my design and I like it, even though there's a bunch of silly, weird, inefficient ways this whole thing was kind of put together. Oops-a-daisies, but that's just the way it goes. And there we go. So now the interior's done. We're just about there, almost at the end of this sort of tutorial how-to on building the most overly done pain in the butt of a build, but it's my overly done pain in the butt of a build, so I like it. And let me show you the underside. This is the way it looks from the bottom. I just added one of the tires. It's basic. It doesn't take any real effort. There's no extra reinforcement that keeps the wheels off. But I haven't had any trouble with them really breaking off though. And I suppose if they did break off, they do spin around. They don't have nothing's running into them. I was having some trouble with them running into Lego bricks before, but not now. So this thing drives around pretty smoothly. You know, no problems with this thing driving around like an actual car or anything like that. And all right, now the seats are leaned forward. This is a good spot. This part that's loose now, that has been loose this whole time, is the last piece of the puzzle. Boom. Jack, what's your bad habit? Junk food. For sure, junk food. All right, so this is it. This is the largest of any of the ratcheted dome pieces that you can get in Lego. I can't remember how many studs in diameter it is. It's almost, I think it's like 8 studs, I want to say, and like maybe 6 bricks. I can't remember. It's the biggest one you can find. Well, I broke that out, but you can see what it's attached to. It's attached to just the 1x2, and it's got the ratcheted piece in the back. This is actually the old gray. I don't know. They might make this in the light or the dark bluish gray nowadays, but I have that in the old gray. And then this is, it's kind of a lot of plate pieces. There's a little bit of sort of crossover. Might as well just take this thing apart and show you the pieces that sort of come into play here. So we've got just some detailing. I was pretty loose on the detailing. The biggest parts of this whole thing were definitely the parts that were like the biggest difficulties of it, I should say, were all about the actual design and seeing if I could get this ridiculously over-tensioned build to actually hold together. That's a single 1x4 brick. Wish that was a Lego set I could buy. Well, the instructions for this on LDD will be available on our website at some point. This is sort of a precursor to that. So when the instructions come out, and if anybody actually wants to get them, they can see this is like a forewarning, like this is going to be a big pain. That's a 1x1 with another 1x1 on top. There is a 1x2. I used the dark red because there are some dark red sort of pillows in there. A couple of the little 1x1s, and then there's actually a 1x4 plate right on the bottom. So it's pretty basic that we're looking at right here. Nothing too crazy. This is going to go right in the center. This back is just full of a bunch of different plate pieces. Realistically, I could have switched that out. I think I was adding them on slowly but surely to see if I could fit them in. I think I could replace that now with a single 1x3 brick instead of the 1x3 plates that you can see. You can see that with the line there. But anyways, it's pretty basic. Nothing too crazy. And then this says a computer chip piece that's in the trans green with the computer chip sort of print on it. You've got the cautionary tape. And this is a little Stormtrooper backpack plate piece that usually came on those snow troopers. So I've got that put back together. Nothing too crazy. And then that's it. And this part is a little bit weaker than I wanted it to be. I mentioned earlier, but if I get those 1x3 jumpers that have the 2 studs on the top, then I could build this forward 1 brick more and be able to have just a bit more tension. So anyways, let's go. Got to kind of orient that the proper way. And this should fit in no problemo. Once that's in. Okay. Push it down properly. It's not totally pushed in. There we go. Oh. Nope, the jumper wanted to move out of the way. Oh wait, I see. This is actually kind of a little bit too low. Is that what's going on? There we go. I'll actually push that down a little bit. Alright. See if I can get that in now. So everything is such a delicate little procedure that you will get super frustrated. Oh, there we go. You will get super frustrated when putting this together if anybody dare attempts it. I feel like the touch of an expert builder might be able to take certain aspects of this build that are super annoying and just make them less annoying. And yeah, I think we just put this whole thing together. A piece just popped off the side, and there goes one of the engines. Piece just popped off the side that had the single red stud piece. Where did that go? On the floor? No. Oh, there it is. So let me put that back on. the little red stud tile piece. That fits. Just the corner of it like ran into that wedge piece and it popped it right off. Come on, buddy. There it is. Okay, it's back on. So that is the way the news goes. Boom. So let me close it down first. Sometimes it gets a little bit funny right against the steering wheel. You push that steering wheel forward a little bit. Boom. We should be in business. Now that steering wheel is still pumping into it. There we go. Dang it. And then I just jumped it forward a little bit. Okay. Yep, there we go. Come on, buddy. Okay. No, and then I just broke this part out. Dang it. See? And that's what happens when you play with Lego too long. Okay, there we go. That should close down properly. Come on, buddy. Oh, oops. It's closing down on top of the seat now that I leaned too far back. Ah! And then I broke it off again. See, this is a display, not play set. This is all display, no play, bro. Alright, come on, buddies. Come on, buddies. Get back in there. It was so close. Didn't it look like it was done and then all these little pieces start breaking off? Alright, so now that's back in. I started pushing it back together with the seat back on it. There we go. There we go. That's flatter. There we go. Now that's flat. Okay. So that's it. That's the actual ship. That is the Rick and Morty UFO. It is crazy delicate sometimes. This, when it's actually in this mode now, it actually feels pretty good. But as you can see, one false move with this or one false move with that, and the whole thing gets really, really easy to break apart. So this is something that I might be tweaking the design a bit to try to make it a little bit more accessible. I am going to play around with shortening this top in the future. But anyways, we can fit our figs on the inside. But first, let me show you each of the guys. So let's zoom this camera in. These are customs. I can't remember where I got these custom bricks, custom minifigs. But here is... Really? Come on, buddy. There we go. There's Lego Rick. This is a custom print by like guys like it's a really professional website. I can't remember the name. They're like really big. I'm sure if you just Googled like custom minifigs, they'd be like one of the first people to pop up. But there's Rick. So what I like about the custom printing is that they print onto the back of the legs, which is something that Lego never actually does. And the printing's actually decent. It's not the black doesn't go totally black, which is it's almost there, like. But it's obviously you can tell with the consistency. This actually you can feel the roughness of the print just a little bit. It pops up a little more than the way a Lego official print would work. But the artwork's dope. Look at that. Hey, Pickle Rick, yeah. All right, and then a less than amused Rick. So it looks good, and I like the hairpiece that they used for him. It's better than that Nightwing hairpiece that's in blue. That I know I was using for my little specially made Rick thing. This is a better piece for sure. It looks good. And then I did make a portal gun for him. I think this custom fig did come with his own portal gun, but I thought mine looked cooler. He doesn't hold it that well with the horn piece, but I think my portal gun actually looks a little bit better. What I do sometimes if I want Rick to hold the portal gun is I'll take the tooth piece out of the portal gun and I will add a bone. So this bone piece, I think this is the part I add, right? Yeah, I'll add a bone piece, and that way, is it the bone that I add? I can't remember now. I think it is. Yeah, I think that's the way it works. Is I add the bone. Rick can hold on to the bone, and it just stays in his hand a little bit better. It doesn't look as good. I kind of like push that down a little bit, I say. But yeah. Doesn't work quite as well, I don't think. But it's fun. It's a fun thing to play around with. Maybe I used a different bone piece or something that was a little bit easier for this thing hook in properly. But I think ultimately the portal gun does look better with the tooth. Just the handle curving down. It's not super accurate, but in general, I kind of like that. So anyways, there's Rick with that. He is gonna I'll put him in the main seat. You can kind of get his arms out, and you lean the seat back. You can get him in pretty easily. Get those arms up. Remember, this is like a very much a display piece. This is something that you pretty much don't want to touch very often. I'm sure some of you guys watching this and the way the actual minifigs fit in and everything, it does become a little bit crazy after a while. And let's just see, is that seat too far back? No, that's good. So there's Rick, he fits in there, no problems. And now, this is the Morty fig. Now Morty, the custom version of him, he's got prints on his feet, which is fine. It looks all right. There's his expression. Not a bad version of him. He's short-legged though, which makes him harder, not harder, it's just he sits in the seat a little bit more awkwardly because I didn't bother to add those like those friends sort of like little wedge pieces that go in between the feet, which I think might have worked better for Morty. But yeah, there he is here, and his alternate expression is booyah. Scared Morty. Not bad. Looks pretty good though. You know. Oh, Rick, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I can't do the Morty voice. Morty's a lot harder, I feel like, than Rick. Boom. This is a custom print. Can't remember who did it. But there it is. There's Morty. And he fits in his seat. It's easier to get him in his seat because he just stands on it. I designed this for like a minifig that was going to be able to sit down, but he stands on it, and I think that's fine. Push that forward just a little bit. There we go. Oop, come on, buddy. There it is. And let me zoom that out and get these flashlight pieces just a little bit more centered. All right, let's zoom it out. Swing, swing, swing. All right, there it is. The custom Rick's Spaceship from Rick and Morty. And yeah, so if you were watching that through and through, there was a lot of points of struggling. There's a lot of ridiculous tension between these side panels, and I hate taking this thing apart. I really don't look forward to. I was like, I should do this as an episode. This will be fun to do. Like, I think this is like a necessary thing, especially if I want to make an LDD file for you guys. People are going to want to know how the heck this thing comes together. So I think this was a necessary video. But gosh, it's a little bit of attrition. Not like an easy, relaxing kind of just brick stacking kind of set. Brick stacking is just what I use. You know, if you're building like a building and you're just placing bricks on top of bricks, there's no special connections or tension points or anything like that. But this is, I don't know if I could call this an advanced builder's set or just like an amateur builder that overly complicated something that didn't need to be. I think that's probably more appropriate. But anyways, yeah, I like it. That is my, I like to call it the UFO. It's not really a UFO. And it'd be awesome if they made these in like trans yellow that didn't pop out quite so bright, because it doesn't really shine bright unless the ship is flying. They kind of go dark and almost gray when the ship is off. But yeah, that's going to be it for the ship. And this is, by the way, just if you wanted to see a closer look at Pickle Rick, these pieces, this piece in dark gray green is coming. I've already ordered it on BrickLink, so it is on its way. And I was playing a lot with how to make this thing smooth. Like the whole head is smooth. There is one point of tension in the head at the top here, where it's kind of like this set of plates, this set of slope plates. They're all kind of built in a quad chunk. It's kind of held in by tension behind this piece and then behind the face piece. So if I was to pop the face piece out, these two sides would pop out. Other than that, it's actually not that hard of a connection point. Other than that, it's all really straightforward. It's all super straightforward. They all just fit into stud pieces like that, and you just fit it right on. It's like overly engineered, but nothing that's like too crazy in my opinion. And the way I put this mouthpiece together, you're gonna very easily be able to change the expression, I think, because this is an orientation that can very easily be manipulated into like a frown. I would just build like a frown piece, and then I can just switch it out, and it's super easy to super easy to just pop it right back in. There is the ever so slight amount of tension though, so it does maybe want to pop out at you. But anyways, that's Pickle Rick, and I'm out of pieces, so the bottom will get done up. And then eventually, yeah, I do want to expand this build into what would be Pickle Rick in his dead rat sort of exosuit, his fighting, his body. He made like a rat body. But yeah, so there it is. So that's just a little look at Pickle Rick. And boom. I think that's it. I did update the back handle of the Lego portal gun, so that little bit of portal space, that space that's at the back of the handle of the portal gun, if you did watch that episode, the part that I was self-conscious about, I fixed that. So I don't know if it's worth showing you guys on the stream right now, but I am happy that thing got fixed up. And all right, so that's just some Pickle Rick. That's Pickle Rick. There's the Rick and Morty spaceship here. Total pain in the butt to actually build, but personally I like it. I don't know. You guys can tell me. There's some other good versions of the Lego spaceship. This is, I'm gonna tell you right now, probably the most difficult to build. I don't know if it looks the best. I like it because I built it. But yeah, I don't know if it's you know, that's up to your opinion on which one you like the most. But I can tell you right now, it is the most difficult to build out of any of the other ones that I've seen, at least on YouTube or on rebrickable pages or anything like that. So anyways, that is gonna be it for this live stream. It's not a super long one, about an hour and a half of what was mostly an already built set, and it was just me just putting the chunks back together, and that in and of itself was quite a bit of time, just popping pieces out and putting them back in and popping them out and putting them back in. Personally, I like sets that you can feel comfortable handling, and you don't have to worry about things falling off or breaking. Like this one's going to be a lot. This one's just going to be a lot more accessible and not such a pain as the other one. So this is going to eventually become an episode 2. Pickle Rick. I just like that the expression got pretty darn close to his actual face. That eyebrow piece was the seed piece. I saw this is I think BMO's arm from the Dimensions set, and I was like, that is Rick's eyebrow. Like, we got it. We can do Pickle Rick now. But anyways, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I know I didn't answer a lot of questions this stream. I was a little bit more focused on getting just getting that build through. I wanted to make sure to pay attention and not forget how to put something back together when I took it apart, because that'd be super embarrassing. So anyways, I didn't answer a lot of your stuff, but I hope you guys did enjoy this stream. This will be a video that just stays up on the channel for a while, because I am going to make another more like legit sort of edited video to kind of show you the details of it and stuff. Maybe not a build video, but just kind of showing off what the thing is. And I can link an LDD file to our website once I make it. But that's going to be it. So, thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe. We do live streaming once every weekday, Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, if you enjoy that stuff. And yeah, so that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time at BrickVault. Wubba lubba dub dub!